lets you do better at your job.
Surprising, yeah. I've learned that over the course of time. Man, I can barely call an Uber once I get off of a transatlantic flight. I just push me towards my house and hope that I get there. It's essentially what happens. Hollywood, it's no surprise actually that since Immortals is the home team they picked, this is their best hybrid map by far, by a rather large margin. This is the one that they would go to and pick. There's the old Pioneer Hotel as we take a glimpse at Westworld and the ladder of the county jail. I wish you could climb that ladder. Too many times there's a widow sitting up there in my games and just poking away and I can't do anything about it.
I mean, it's very possible that the ladder was put there by a designer that liked playing Widow and just had the idea of going, they're going to think they can climb this ladder and all they will get are tears, X. Tears.
Yeah, there have been tears against some Widows in my games early on. Do you see anything out of the ordinary from either of his teams as far as rosters go? Of course, the YIKES is messing around a little bit as they're in their own spawn, but defensively we're set out here.
Defensively, this is about what you can expect coming out here from Immortals nowadays. They are going with a dive-year defense here where it's going to be up to Grim to really lay in the pressure from the Cafe. Meanwhile, for the offense, now we're going to see their true form to some extent, and again, it's just going to be more of the dive we see here, but it will be a dive backed up by space on that Diva.
Yeah, no triple DPS, but pure dives coming out from both of them. What is... Okay, Ginger Pop's actually going to run this 76 here. They're going to go solo support. Very interesting. This is something we have not seen from Ginger Pop, and he can play the good Ana. Maybe that translates, but interesting triple DPS dive coming out here.
Yeah, so Ginger Pop now showing that he's not just a mere support. He's going to be moving in here with this offense, but it's a trade out here early on. The defense for now holding strong, and they deal with the support somewhat light offense relatively effectively. YIKES dove in, and they just got very little.
You know what you can't have happen when you run a solo support? Your Lucio can't die first.
Yeah.
Tahoon died immediately in that fight. When you're running solo support like that, that cannot happen. They're going to stick on it. That is a nice, early on kill from Ginger Pop to start this out. They're going to have the advantage momentarily.
I imagine Tahoon feels more pressure to be in the fray of things. Lucio doesn't have the range on his heal that he once had, so if he actually wants to provide healing, he has to expose himself to that risk. Either way, YIKES, not a lot of chill in this offense. They're immediately diving in, but they find Fate immediately. They get into the Cafe, they get that first kill. Now Ginger Pop, let's see what he can do in the 76 here in the backline, sightlines to the Cafe, and YIKES for now trying to establish as they hold on to the point, they get a tick, and Immortals is actually struggling to deal with this now.
It was that early, or late rather, kill from Ginger Pop that enabled all of this, enabled them to get in because that was on Hyped, and that was the Diva out of the mix. That opens up so much damage potential. They are going to come back on and stagger a little bit, got to start seeing some kills. Fate's going to open it up. Tahoon down again, so if they can just sustain in this fight, it will eventually tip over, because again, that's their only support.
What this has done is that this has put a rather big target on Tahoon's back here, where if you kill Tahoon, all the sustain is gone. That is the Achilles heel of this composition that YIKES is trying to run here, so kill Tahoon, win the fight. As you see Immortals right now just buying a little bit of space towards the end of that with Fate.
The next fight's going to be their best one by far. It should. They should be able to sound barrier in there. You're going to have Blade. Ginger Pop does finally rotate over. It causes a couple of changes. Za is going to go onto the 76 instead. They have a second healer now. Ginger Pop will go to the Zenyatta.
Well, the interesting stuff is that with the exception of the Dragon Blade, this is relatively even. Immortals won't have a Blade, but they will have a barrier into this fight and a self-destruct. If Hype can land a really good self-destructive defense, he can pull this one right back, regardless of what the Blade does. But YIKES, they're committing right here, right now. The barrier is out, and they already strike blood before the counter barrier is in. This is a much better engage here from YIKES. The self-destruct from Hype doesn't really do much. And yeah, Immortals still delaying a little bit here, though. This is looking much more in YIKES' favor.
Yeah, a lot of cleave comes in there. They still are going to put some bodies on the point. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this one back. It's going to require a miracle. Grim will take out Ginger Pop on his own 76s. I should have known, actually, where Grim was. A mile away from his team on an enormous flank. It's one of my issues with his 76. He did get a kill, but not much after that. And because of that, they're not going to be able to take early up high ground. They're going to take the slow ride up as YIKES and get their own soldier on high ground.
That is one tough thing about First Point Hollywood. If you're going to lose it, Ginger Pop. Okay, so when we go into this, we mentioned Ginger Pop is such a good support. He's like, actually, I'm not going to play support. I'm going to play Widow. I empathize with this man. I've been in that position so many times.
I think someone called him a mercy maid one too many times, and he is just out to prove them wrong. Kareem will take down Za early, which is a nice kill for them to take the 76 out of the fight. See what agilities can get done on the Tracer here. He's got Pulse Bomb loaded and ready. Finds Ginger Pop. Ginger Pop looking like a Jiffy Pop right there, exploding into the sky. Hyped and agilities get a couple, and this should be a defensive hold. Tahoon's still trying to get a little push in here. He's got his own help out, but yeah, that should seal it up.
I just wonder if it was really needed there. I mean, you had a fleeing D.Va and Lucio. I understand just a little bit of pent-up anger there, but I'm not sure that really needed to be used.
Widow's a pretty easy target for that stick. Grapple was already in effect, and there goes Pop. And he's going to switch back over to the Zenyatta. So
okay.
I think the thing is, if you don't want him to switch to another healer, then just don't kill him on the DPS, because he's switched to it a couple times and they killed him in the DPS.
Well, in any case, Ginger Pop going back to his bread and butter here and getting on a main support hero as YIKES moves him once more. But the Sound Barrier a little bit late. Pizza is going to fall here early on, and the coordination coming in from YIKES a little bit lacking, especially on that last engage. I mean, if the barrier comes in right someone's dying, you're not really going to get much from it, because then it's a 5v6 barrier, and Immortals just rather easily countering there.
Fate has been running wild. He's getting so much damage in there. He plays on the Razor's Edge like so many other Korean tanks and Korean Winston specifically, as he's going to come back up over the top, and he got so much damage there, and then Pop Primal Rage, not as a huge disruption ultimate, but just to keep himself alive and get some more kills. He's been playing very well, a great addition for this team so far.
Pulse Bomb coming out of his agility. He's the rare Tracer on Tracer Pulse Bomb stick. Dante, not the rewind, able to get out of that one, and hey, a pickoff is a pickoff, whether it be on Tracer or someone in the back line. This is still going to delay YIKES, as they're quickly running out of time here, X. A minute 20 is not much for the middle of second point Hollywood.
No, it's going to be very difficult there, and probably their last push on second point, because first push took so long. It's not something that we're used to seeing. The team struggles so hard in this phase. They think about trying to get Za over the top. They think better of it as they're getting pressured down by the tank play.
They're really split up here. I don't think it was their intention to go into the saloon on the left. Dante going to be getting the special from Grim Reality, and now both teams getting into it here in the payload. The Transcendence comes out for Immortals as they look to put this one away. YIKES, they're really poked down here, Hex. You take a look at Dahoon and XQC. They have to back out, and they concede a lot of space to Immortals in this fight, as Immortals still feeling pretty good here in the back. I mean, most of their players are good at health right now, and though YIKES is now starting to regroup, this has been messy.
The Sound Barrier is going to come in and actually save Crew's life, and it pushes away XQC, who had his designs on taking out the Zenyatta. Beautiful save. He and Primal Rage to get back there and do so, and it does not work out for them. Sound Barrier comes in at the last hour for YIKES.
It just feels like YIKES is just throwing the ultimates in as soon as they get them. There's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason here. Immortals now, they're going to counter with the Transcendence, come right back in, and they get the key kill on the Ginger Pop, and self-destruct doesn't land as Immortals just, again, casually rolling back in as time fading here, Hex. The last 2 seconds, YIKES, at this point, that's gonna be it.
Agility's had a better Tracer than Dante. Dante was one of my heroes that I wanted to watch early, because we mentioned so much yesterday about, regardless of the region, it's Tracer's world, and we're just living in it right now. You have to have top-tier Tracer play. Agility switching over to it, I thought it was a good play for them, because I think, you know, Grim is not at Agility's level, even on Tracer there. Grim's probably a better choice to put on the 76, where you can just get the consistent damage and things like that. So Dante, the Tracer v Tracer, was definitely going Agility's way. I mean, Dante got stuck by a Pulse Bomb.
You don't see that very often. I mean, feel like if there was a list, Hex, of things that bad day as a Tracer,
right.
Other Tracer sticks Pulse Bomb. It's like, yep, that is definitely top 5.
How'd my car get in Hollywood?
I never knew, Hex. I never knew.
I mean, I don't like to brag. Aside for that license plate.
This explains a lot, actually.
Vanity plates say a lot about people. Interesting stuff there. YIKES experimenting like that was confusing to me. I don't really get why they would put Ginger Pop on the triple DPS, the single supports. Maybe it's something they've been running a lot lately. Just seems like an unnecessary gamble.
Well, in terms of like extra confusion here, take a look at what they're running in the defense. We have seen them run Fair Mercy really well on defense before, but in a map like Hollywood where you have a lot of room for a fair of the maneuver, especially in second, they didn't even try this once.
Yeah, it's so good to come up over the top and you get the concussion into the cafe, scatter those chairs, and then I guess if there's people up there, they get scattered too. So it's interesting to say the least about YIKES. YIKES is a team they're actually kind of hard to predict, because they used to be, this was their bread and butter. This is how they made their name, this is how they came up. And then they showed a surprising amount of versatility the last couple times we saw them, not running the pharmacy combo, but when their backs are against the wall, this is what they run. And I think it's smart, because Immortals, yeah, they have a new team now. They've consistently struggled to deal with the sky threat that is a combo of pharmacy.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Also, Immortals, there was a time where they really struggled on second point Hollywood, period, where they just got, their engagements were not particularly clean. Although, I do think that with the upgrades they've made in recent times, I do expect that to be changing. In any case, now, we will be taking a look at the defense of YIKES here as Za in the back line will be laying in the rockets to both interrupt the offense as they come in and potentially deep dive once they do get in.
Karif's got to be careful. Grim also eats a boosted rocket, so all the entry damage will be negated, will get healed up eventually. They know what the threat is now. Does not hit that shot onto the leaping Winston's a shot that you probably should be hitting as a Pharah, even though it's an air shot. Winston's enormous.
And YIKES right now, they're just bending back on their defense. They're not really challenging Immortals too much. They're leaving Za with plenty of room to lay in rockets. And you have to think, X, that they're going to be diving in a little bit deeper as soon as they know that one good rocket is landed and XQC is in position to punish that. But both teams actually showing each other a lot of respect right now.
Yeah, pulling very far behind the building is actually really smart. That's where you see a lot of defensive Pharahs go because it's difficult to get the correct angle you need to deal with it. You need your Zen to orbit, and then you need your 76 to come around and get the finish damage. They've been trying to pressure with their own tank. Transcend comes in, and Grim starts it off with a kill.
And once the Transcend comes in, Immortals, they just rush the point immediately. This fight will be in, but look at Ginger Pop. He has a resurrection up here, so he can bring XQC back up to the fray, and he's going to do that right here. So that's the problem with YIKES. If you don't take down Ginger Pop early, he can get that res, and yet Immortals, they're not really phased here. Agility's in favor, able to get to the back line, get the kills they were looking for. Ginger Pop is out, and they will win this fight rather convincingly.
The problem is they rezzed XQC there because he went down, but a split second later, Za went down afterwards, which is what this composition is generally built around. Dante will reward Grim's first entry kill with a pulse bomb of his own, able to get that stick onto him. One of the best ways to actually kill a soldier as a tracer because he's got biofield and all that.
It's right. YIKES hasn't given this up here just yet. They are getting back in with the slimmest of margins, but with Ginger Pop and Za back into this fight, there is potential they bring this back. Now, they're going to have to deal with the blade from Agilities. Agilities just trying to clear out space in the point and being pretty effective at doing that as well. 4 kills here from Immortals, and it does look like this will be the time where they take the point. And this is rough here for YIKES because remember, they have to defend right before second. They didn't complete the map, they didn't even get to third, so they don't really have margin for error here, as Immortals Hex has 4 minutes left to bring this to about second.
One of the problems with running a combo is if you kill half of it, you've essentially killed all of it. And yes, Mercy can still be there, but one of the things that makes Mercy powerful is having a sky escape. And when you take that away by taking down the Pharah, she's on the ground, very easy to kill. So you saw that happen there. The Ginger Pop went down, then Za died immediately after.
And that's really tough for YIKES here. Dante was going to the backline and catches the wrong end of balls from Zenyatta there, immediately getting removed from the fight. And now it puts a lot more pressure on Za to come back in and right the wrongs here, so to speak. But look at Karif, another Transcendence out. This man is always in the Iris Hex.
Yeah, he's got a lot of faith and it has been rewarded. A nice barrage does come down though, and now Hyped is out of the mix, so that should open things up for the hit scan, but it still is. Grieve and Grim going back and forth on the cart. Sahun finally takes him out. Agilities with the reset comes back through onto this as well, and at the very least, they're getting stalled out here, but eventually comes back in. I think the most important thing for next fight, and this is pretty easy, pretty analysis 101, the resurrection has to come through.
Right, and there's a lot of cases where we go, well, a lot of times the Mercy will die before the res. Doesn't really happen too often with Ginger Pop, where he has learned the secrets of Mercy and mortality. Now that I've said that, watch him die first, because that is how caster cursing tends to work out, but this is going to be a very tough fight here for YIKES, where they really do need a massive res. And there it is! He died first! Cut down mid-air by Agilities. No immortality. That is reserved for Immortals as they just walk through this team fight with pretty much ease.
I can't believe you've done this.
Maybe I just wanted Ginger Pop to die. I wanted his death Hex. That's what I want.
I suppose. They are going to come on and now give everything they have on it just to try to stall out. Remember, they don't even have to get it to the second point here. Yellow Box victory on the ground. But the stall has come out so great that he's able to resurrect both of his tanks.
Yeah, this is the last ditch effort here from YIKES trying to get back into the fight, but when you throw your bodies onto the point, you're able to get the res later on. Sure, Ginger Pop might be out of it now, but at the very least have given some posture. The Immortals has Karif has another Transcendence up. This man, he is devout.
Yeah, he definitely believes in, I'm not even certain what the Omnic religion is called, but I always knew there was something special about him because he doesn't even have to walk, just floats. So the transcend, but it can't be said enough how much damage that he's getting done to have these transcends up, and they will prioritize him. He hits a pulse bomb early, and now both of the new additions for Immortals out of this.
One thing that's really worth noting is that even though Immortals have been picking up more kills here, this has been very effective stall here from YIKES. Agilities trying to put an end to it. Finally, the blade coming out and picking up 2, and yet you still have YIKES coming out the spawn door. This payload actually has moved very little in the last few minutes, and even Agilities right now getting pushed out. So YIKES, I feel like they're pulling a con us where it looks like they're losing to some extent, and yet they're a minute away from actually holding.
I will give Dante all the credit in the world, as I called him out after the last half of the map. He has had a game of his life right now. He's going after all sorts of people, but 2 quick kills from Immortals might just end this. Resurrected, bring it back to full strength.
Just when you think you've broken YIKES, the Resurrection comes out and the barrier out to support it. Beta 1 combos in action as Gigawatt doesn't over the top. He loses his support in Ginger Pop, but still under pressure. Finally going to fall, and is this going to be a time as Kareem is transcending again? How does he get transcended so quickly? This is, I don't even know, but finally Immortals does punch it through after a spirited delay by YIKES, I feel like. It would have been good if they actually got through second.
Sorry for the giggle in the middle of that. I was mocking you for having the humor of a 12-year-old before we came on cast, and apparently I also have the humor of a 12-year-old as, you know, words make me giggle. Like giggle.
I've really never grown up, despite how it might look. You know, I'm still watch Saturday morning cartoons on occasion.
I think that's the case for a majority of people on this planet. You age only in body, not in soul. Grim Reality Will gets the play of the game here. Nice tracking right there. Able to take down Ginger from a distance and then takes on the other part of the combo. Grim can play a good 76, and this is, he's the embodiment of my issue with 76 is just stay alive, just put in the little bit of damage. No one's asking you to be a hero, despite what some of the 76's voice lines say.
Yeah.
Just stay alive, do the damage.
No, and you can't argue with his tracking. He has good tracking, in a good hit scan. My big thing with him is sometimes his positioning and maybe some of his ult usage. Is where I would question him the most. But, I mean, in that instance, he was able to actually get Pharah and Mercy a couple of times there at the end. But I want to talk about D.Va a little bit because we saw both Space and, oh my goodness, Hyped playing D.Va. Goodness gracious. Yeah, it's the first match of the day, and I'm already doing this. And we saw a little bit of a mix of both. Both of them tend to be protecting their back lines. But do you have any thoughts on how these D.Vas were used?
Well, as far as the D.Va play going in, I mean, you saw both teams using the D.Va to protect the backline. That's something that Hyped actually has had to adapt to more because you think about early Hyped on D.Va, he was very much good at isolating threats, but he's had to adapt to some degree, Hex, to the new era of D.Vas where it's like, actually, if you just want to hold back and protect a little bit more, that would be great.
It's about because teams have figured out how to catch a dive. They've also figured out how to catch a D.Va. So the days of D.Va bullying are over, where she can just go in and isolate someone. Because the rest of the team's like, you're just gonna give this to us. We're just gonna get this kill for free now, and then they'll take it. And then you've already turned it into 6v5. So the defensive D.Va, I mean, defense matrix is not offense matrix.
I mean, we're considering a name change, I think, but no,
Defensive
defensive
matrix.
matrix.
Science vessels, honestly.
Yeah, no.
Bring back the StarCraft.
StarCraft, indeed. No, it doesn't matter. I was going to tell you a little story about StarCraft, but I'll regale you at another time with my really horrible play. But no, one thing that D.Va was really utilized there from Hype's perspective specifically was against CZA's Pharah. Yeah. And obviously, you know, Pharah is something that they would bring out quite a bit. And we talk about the difference between more of an offensive and defensive defense matrix. Well, it's definitely something you can use to shut down those rockets.
Well, Zon in general was under pressure, period. Everything from agilities trying to be anti-air to where not only did he get Zoff from time to time, but also that fated fight where he kills Ginger Pop first, as we mentioned. Yeah, Ginger Pop never dies first. Oh, oh wait.
It's your fault.
Yeah, no, I blame you. It was funny because I'm like, no, it can't happen. You know, he's just, and then immediately, I think Achilles was actually listening to you there.
Yeah. He actually thought, wait, killing the Mercy first. Yes. Well, you know what? I thought about this before, but now is the time.
And now that I have ZP's blessing, I can go for it. I think it's their best bet as far as anti-air goes. I mean, it was nicer to see Grim because it is something that they have always struggled with, dealing with the pharmacy combo, and it's something that they had to adjust to. The tracking has been good from him to come out, but I also think the pressure puts them into weird positions. They can't just sit back like they did. You saw the Tank play coming into it, and Tank's not going to take out the combo by himself, but does a little damage and pushes them away, makes them uncomfortable. And I think Genji can be good at anti-air if you call out, we did a little bit of damage here.
Yeah.
Please just dash through that.
And
Please
Grim,
just dash.
if Grim gets a couple of hits and he's in the right position, it's surprising what these guys can do with that.
One key thing for me in this entire series, by the way, it had to be Kareev, where you think about the change in supports here, where they used to have Ethan, now they have Kareev. What did we see Kareev doing there? Not only was he alive most of the time, he rarely got picked off early in those fights because of very good positioning, but think about what you have to do to get Transcendence up as often as Kareev was getting it there. Not only do you have to be healing priority targets and getting a lot of efficiency out of your healing, you also have to be laying down above average damage as Zenyatta. Both actions are going to charge your ultimate meter.
Right.
And even for casters where we sort of get in tune with the flow of the game, I'm just sitting there going, what? He has it again?
But here's the question.
Like,
is it
what?
even really that valuable? You know, as far as ults on that scale of, no, okay, yeah, it's like, you know, really one of the most valuable ones. And I don't think we could talk about this match if we didn't talk about Ginger Pop 76 and Widow. We'll be going into Oasis next. Are we going to see Ginger Pop maybe on Sombra coming out here? I mean, he seems to really want to play some DPS.
Well, when you think about Oasis and YIKES, you have to think about aerial combinations where we've seen Ginger Pop come in with just ridiculous resurrection after ridiculous resurrection. Oasis has plenty of areas for a Mercy to hide, plenty of areas to take cover in the sky. So you take a look at what YIKES is running right now, Hex. It really isn't too much of a surprise.
I think that's already telling us what stage we're going to be on, too. Yeah, it's going to be Gardens, I believe. And you mentioned, like, plenty of areas. Yeah, Gardens is a big map. It all takes place about 10 by 10. All the fighting is that very one small area, but using the verticality to their advantage. And yeah, what we didn't necessarily mention is that Immortals has brought in a Fair Mercy combo of their own. Agilities has really added it to his game. It's something that he didn't used to have necessarily in his game. And his pharmacy has been actually pretty good. We'll see what Kareev can do on his Mercy, too.
For me, Hex, I think Agility is just like treats Overwatch like leveling up an RPG. It's like, oh, you know, I've already maxed out Roadhog, I've maxed out Genji, and now I'm just gonna get on that Pharah grind, you know?
He might be reaching close to max on that one as well. So it's going to be pretty much mirror combinations here. The pharmacy versus pharmacy battle will be interesting, and generally it's not really about the pharmacy versus pharmacy. It's who can support better and how does the other four ground war happen.
Indeed, and we are going to be seeing a lot of Agilities versus Za here, though, as they both look for each other. Agilities spending most of his early effort onto the ground, and you take a look at YIKES, and we get put down. Oh, okay then. Za has had enough, gets rid of Agility's life blanket, and this is going to go very much in the way of YIKES.
I think the mistake wasn't even that second rocket, it was the first one. As he was coming through over that ledge where they like to hide out, there's almost no reason to be there when you're just first coming in, so he was a sitting target right there. That's where Kareev ate most of his damage. The finishing rocket, the second one, of course, 2 rockets will probably kill her anyway, but I think you learn from that mistake, and there's really no reason to be hiding out there in the first engagement anyway.
Well, now Kareev is going to be participating in the Pharah Mercy showdown. I wonder if he's wondering, things were just a little bit safer, a little bit more protected back in Gaios.
Probably longing for the light of transcendence, wanting to be in the good graces of his savior. Agilities is going to try to dunk a little bit early again. He's going to be pressured out just a touch, and Ginger Pop does fall. That's a huge advantage for Immortals. They should be able to transition here. However, a couple nether kills on the ground from YIKES is going to at least slow this down.
And you take a look at Agilities, he's really not spending that much time on Za here early on. He's going for the ground, and he gets his men. Both space is down along with Dante, and he just leaves Za to Grim Reality. It's a different target prioritization. He gets away from sort of the almost RNG feeling that Pharah v Pharah can feel like sometimes, and it works out for Immortals. It gets them the first take here on Gardens.
I've always thought that the best pharmacy combos usually, you know, shoot a rocket at the other pharmacy, but then flick to the ground. Just try to help out a little bit. Throw some splash, throw a damage boost down there. It really can swing the ground war in your favor.
I'll tell you this much, Hex. Going into this next fight, it's going to be a tale of 2 resurrections. Ginger Pop has his, Kareev has his, and Space takes away Kareev. So, no, actually, it's going to be a tale of no resurrections, because when you get an intro like that from your diva, what more do you need, Hex?
Had, past tense, has his. I think D.Va's so good on this map, not only to help out the pharmacy battle, which we eventually see, but there's not a whole lot of place to hide if you're out on that ledge. A lot of the pharmacies like to hang out over the ocean, get the nice breeze going, and that's what took him down, was the self-destruct. A late resurrection will come in. Heroes never die indeed, but still, Immortals with control of the map, not able to completely clear them out just yet, as on the point remains Fate.
What you had there, Hex, what you had was the resurrection being used just to buy a little bit of extra stalling here, but it's actually working out, where even though YIKES was looking good to begin with, Immortals has slowly been able to reinforce back onto the point, so what was initially just stall has turned out to be a rather decent defense. YIKES certainly has been killing more here, but this is one of the hardest points in the game to retake once you lose it.
Oasis isn't necessarily about team fights, it's about cleaning up. And it's such a stallish map. When was the last time they reset as 6? Oh, no, it didn't happen. There's been a fight since the beginning of the map. This is the Oasis style, and unless you can fully clean a team out and get the stall to prevent them from stalling, you're gonna have a hard time. This is so much more about the objective than it is about kills.
It absolutely is, and to that point, Hex, you take a look, Yikes was stuck at a minor bar tick away from recapturing for what felt like an eternity. Finally, they're able to convert those kills into control of the point, but Immortals has to feel very good about this, Hex, because now all they need to do is come in and win one more team fight.
They stalled it out for about 40 seconds at the very least. I remember them being at a 48 for when it was very close to that take. There's that over the top, because that's where they love to hang out. A beautiful push there by Space. So 88%. As you mentioned, it felt like an eternity, but that was 40 seconds. In Overwatch time, that's about 8.5 years.
It goes for so many things, both in-game and out-of-game, but Immortals coming back in. Both teams dropping the beat, but Dahoon only drops a beat on himself. That was not a very good sound barrier at all. We'll see if Yikes is able to recover from that, but again, Space making space up in the top, takes down Kareev, and it gives Yikes an advantage because they have the resurrection. Oh no, they don't! Agilities finds the Fair and Mercy combo in totality. There will be no resurrection. And this is looking much better here for Immortals.
Well, they still have to take control of the point, and XQC had something to say about that as he dies mid-sentence. It turns himself into past tense. Next, Control will win it as they're both going. It's going to be a 99-99.
Hex, let's be real. XQC always has something to say.
that is true. I find him extremely entertaining, to be honest with you. I think we need people like that in Overwatch.
I do agree. Spice is the variety of life here as Immortals coming back in onto the point. Both teams throwing everything they have, 99% to 99%. And despite, while looking good for Immortals, Ginger comes in with the res and keeps the hope for Yikes alive as and Agilities still up and around, but it's Dante on the ground war doing well for Yikes as they're starting to push Immortals a bit out.
Yeah, Dahoon will go out in this fight, though, which is going to really hurt their ground war because now the pharmacy is going to be their only source of healing, and they're going to have to spread it out a little bit. And you see it come to fruition now as Agilities and Grim combine for 1.5 kills, the mech being the half, of course. But it's going so stalled out. Kareev should be able to get back in here. He's got Resurrection available. That's going to be the big difference here. You got to stay on the points here. Well, I mean, this could go on for another 10 minutes.
I want to note here, Immortals has control of the point. This is Yikes trying to retake. We've seen this movie before, but it's a monster res that gives Immortals a chance of rotating this back. They were on the losing end for a really long time, Hex, and it's just the Resurrection and stall that has kept them in it, as both teams here just struggle to deal with each other and deal with the respawns coming in. Agilities, the weather report is in, the barrage goes out, and now the fight going a little bit more in favor of Immortals, but it's still so back and forth.
Yeah, because this reminds me of the old Control days with 5 Tracers and Lucio. This could go on for another 15 minutes. Could be a long day here, boys. Tune in an hour from now when this map concludes. Still just a brawl back and forth. The problem is, look at how fast overtime is burning, because it's been going on forever. They cannot get anyone off this point for even a heartbeat.
Yikes has no room for errors. Dante comes in, the sound barrier, giving him all sorts of room to move right in, but Grim Reality says, anything you can do, I can do better. Rolling right back in. Both Tracers on the point, but Dante off on the out by himself, just buying time, ring around the rosy. There's even posies right around there, so I don't know.
Oh, your ability to identify digital flowers is amazing. I couldn't tell what kind of flowers those were. You might be wrong.
I just pulled it out of my butt. I hope they're posies. Like, please, canon guys, say they're posies. But Yikes, they're coming back onto the point, X. So you thought this might have been over and Mortals got 4 kills and Dante was running for his life? No.
The impressive, he was running for his life with like 2 HP. That was the smallest health bar you could possibly have. It remains, though, that it's... Okay, so to reset, and this fight's still going, Immortals has control of the point. They're at 99%, and that overtime is going to be gone the moment anyone steps off. It's not going to burn down, it's going to blink out of existence.
This is a case where you don't want to get pushed off here for Yikes. You need to stay on top of the point, but Grim Reality, I think he's had enough. He needs to use the bathroom, needs a little bit of me time, takes down 3, and overtime ticks away. Immortals able to defend their cause here. And what was easily one of the longest overtimes that this was seen on Control in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I was saying about Immortals being kind of a scrappy, never-ending fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to show people that video from now on. That proof is right there. That was a never-ending fight.
That's kind of been the story of this matchup so far. I mean, think back to Hollywood on second. That was a never-ending fight. Neither of these teams actually have S buttons on their keyboard. The default for back, so it's...
You know how you can tell Immortals is on the same level or you know, with YIKES than some of the other opponents that YIKES faces. Every resurrection Ginger Pop used was to bring them up to 6 back to full force, where generally they like to use a resurrection to turn it from a 4v4 into a 6v4 in their favor. They never had the chance to use the resurrection for tempo. It was desperation reses, essentially.
Absolutely agreed. And the thing about desperation reses is that it keeps you in the fight, but it's not the game winner that a res is that turns a 4v4 into a 6v4, because then you're in a really good position to win. And the other problem is with desperation reses, sometimes you just get punished.
Kriv playing with fire and will go down. He got dinked on the way in with a couple of damage-boosted rockets. I don't think that's the correct phrase for a damage-boosted rocket. I'll work on it. But then the finish does come in from Dante on the side.
Hex, you say dink, I think it's more of a thunk.
Yeah, okay, perfect, yeah. That's how it should work. So the fight will begin, and it reminds me a little bit of Alios, sorry. That first point capture, so important on Oasis.
It's incredibly important. I mean, Oasis in general is one of the scrappier times. By the way, did you catch the number that Agility's dashing through your back? Because here's the problem with fighting Immortals. Even when you think you have this, we've been in a situation where YIKES is about a tick away, and this time they actually get it, but there's been times here already in the series where YIKES is stuck there for a really long time.
They had bodies around too. I'm surprised that capture actually happened, because there were some people very close to the point. The all-important first capture, it does come off. Ginger Pop going to bring down the 2 Fallen there. That's a tempo resurrection that they're looking for. Brings us back up to full fighting strength.
Bring down, I mean, I didn't realize Ginger Pop was just insulting them as he rezzed them. Hex, we're just like, how dare you guys die? I'm so tired of rezzing you guys time and time again. Mercy doesn't bring people up, she brings them down. Hex 2017.
Yeah, well, sorry about that. The fight will continue to happen here as Dante's doing the thing where you go on the trampoline right there and you look for a target and you do a triple dash. He's just trying to make highlight videos, essentially, is what Dante's looking for right now, as they already have control of the point. Off of the combo now. Kriv has switched over.
Agility's coming in. They're investing a lot into this fight. The Sun Bear's out. Agility's diving right to the back. The Blade hungry for blood, but might have to run away from the explosion. The self-destruct. Gonna be zoning Agility's out here, so he doesn't get much of anything, as YIKES, they're just almost playing guerrilla warfare here, Hex. They're coming in from the sides, not really defending the main point, focusing on stalling and not giving Immortals the decisive engage they want to get. And it's working out, as now the fight's breaking down and Za's having more room to work with.
Guerrilla warfare. I get it.
Oh.
Because it means 2 things. It means the thing and also the other thing. Reality comes in for the cleanup. Kriv has died a lot, actually, this stage. It's been atypical of him, you know, staying alive and getting all those transcends that we saw in Hollywood. He goes down yet again in this fight. It's been all YIKES.
This has been all chaos as YIKES has been winning this particular round. You see the tempo res come out above it there, and Za goes for, what is a less than great barrage, to say the least. But YIKES has full control at this point, even as they're not even seeing that much on the point. It's all unseen going around the corners right now.
Well, Grim finds Ginger Pop. That might be the opening that they're looking for. They got to do something now. 99-0 in favor of YIKES, as they've dominated at least this stage of the map, largely because they forced Immortals to switch a couple times, which means they've never had an ultimate advantage. Kriv has been getting killed early on here, several of these fights, and they're going to have to find something to bring this back. Grim's actually had himself a good 76 game, to be honest.
It hasn't been bad. I mean, he's been picking off kills, but Immortals hasn't been able to decisively just evict YIKES from the point. And that's been problematic, even in fights where it looks like Immortals is going to take it. Well, not really, and now, oh, Kriv, this is the worst place to be. This is Zenyatta just surrounded by 4 people on all sides. Nothing you can do there, but you have to throw your body in the point here. Your body is an expendable tool to keep overtime and progress when you're in this situation as a team.
I just get the feeling that it's not going to happen for them, not on this stage. I think we're going to be headed over towards the University Library. I think that all their hopes went away when Agility's missed that pulse bomb. It's one of the abilities that can bring a fight back in your favor, get a couple of kills, and then he just tossed it on the ground, and with it go the chances of Immortals taking that stage. So we're gonna go into stage 3 tied up here.
We're going to try and get educated here in the University, Hex. That's what we're going to do. I mean, listen, higher institutions have tried pretty much all our lives to try, and it hasn't been very successful, but maybe here we can at least learn a little bit about Overwatch.
I mean, my education. My favorite thing to find on Facebook is where people went to the school of hard knocks. It doesn't seem to be that exclusive of a school, to be honest. Everyone has gone there. The school of hard knocks or the school of the streets. I learned on the streets, ZP. Can't you tell? Don't I strike you as someone from the streets?
You seem very street smart. I don't know what to tell you, Hex. I mean, if I needed like shady dealings done, you'd be the first.
The closest
person
I got to the streets was Street Sharks.
I mean, that's probably why TSA pulls you over every time.
Probably. I think we're starting to crack the code. Up over the top is YIKES to start off this map, and they will just take advantage of that high ground right away as damage-boosted rockets will rain in. No switches for Immortals. They're not going back to the pharmacy combo, so they're going to have to find an answer to Za and Gingerpop. This is what we expected from these guys.
For YIKES, this is completely expected because they're one of the few teams in the game that really proudly runs the Fair Mercy and University. Most teams go, it's not enough air to work with. Za is at home here, where perhaps the soothing nature of all the books around just makes his fair shine. But it's going to be even here so far, and with how scrappy both these teams have been, Hex, it could actually be a while until we get our first cap, even as YIKES is doing this pretty well.
It could be. They have really targeted down Kareev. I think they were tired of seeing all the irises. Like, why is this glowing guy not dying? And it's been Dante who's just gone after him. He's made Kareev's life miserable over the last couple of stages.
Well, that's isolating the problem. I mean, as a tracer, you should be giving a little bit of guff to a Zenyatta to begin with. And certainly if the Zenyatta is really raising your electric bill by glowing every 2 seconds, okay? That's something you have to deal with.
All right. I was going to say we need like a Firefly Zenyatta skin, but I've realized that every skin I've recommended has never been put in the game, so if I want something to happen, I have to hold it inside. Like a birthday wish, you know, you can't say it out loud.
It's one of those things where they were actually going to make every one of those skins Hex, and then they said, Hex wants this. No.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Cancel it. And speaking of getting canceled, Kareev getting canceled out by Dante. You want to talk about focus fire? Well, Kareev has gotten very well acquainted with the spawn room.
And he's only been at 74%. I mean, he's been brutalized, not able to get those transcendents that they relied so heavily on in Hollywoods, and this is difficult. The pharmacy combo, once they have control of it, you're gonna eat damage on the way in. You're going to eat rockets. It's going to be difficult for you, and damage-boosted rockets just, they hurt. They hurt a lot.
It's not a great feeling, especially when you have, you see the little blue beam and then the rocket comes in. It's not great. But YIKES right now, they're in firm control. They have a lot of ults in reserve. And Immortals right now, has to be more of a junk rush. I mean, they will have some ultimates mid-game, but it's going to be tough because if they invest this and it doesn't work out, they're probably going to lose a round. And they're all in here. The Transcendence is out, so it's Attack Visor. And YIKES just says, taste our explosions. The new breakfast cereal brought to you by Space.
Can you see the self-destruct through that visor? 76 comes over the top right away. XQC, God, look at that border. This man plays.
This man jumps off the edge.
One step closer to the edge. No Reaper in this match, unfortunately. Dante's still looking back lines, and Kareev switched to Ana. I mean, the switches coming out from him are just a sign of the frustration, essentially. After the first stage, it has been all YIKES. They've been dominant, and the questions now still are coming in of can Immortals deal with the pharmacy combo?
Dante, you have a problem. You have been stalking Kareev this entire game. A restraining order is going to come out if you keep pulse bombing him to start out fights. But at least a little bit of revenge there. Gingerpop goes down. It is 5 versus 5 as Immortals now, Hex. Backs against the wall. They have to flip this over now.
Best chance to get in there, and Agilities takes out Dante, which means that Kareev is actually going to leave spawn now. I think he's not going to leave spawn unless they take out Dante from the fight. So they get the kills here early on. Their best chance. They do flip it over. Already 99% in control for YIKES.
I mean, the problem for Kareev right now is that whenever he turns his shoulder, there's like a 50% chance that Dante is there saying, hiya, throwing in pulse rifle munitions. So hopefully Kareev gets a little bit more protection here. As Immortals, they flip the point, but they have to win pretty much every fight from here on out.
I never realized how menacing that hiya sounds like, and now it's a whole different context.
You never thought of Tracer as this soulless killer? Because that's what Dante's been to Kareev.
No, I mean, Tracer's been my girl forever. Agilities comes in, Dahoon goes down. So now Agilities gets in the mix.
No.
Hey, Dante.
Heroes never die.
I mean, Dante at least made it a double killing, got the other support involved, but that's huge. It gets both supports, and YIKES well on their way to taking this round. And coming closer to evening up the set.
With the res coming in there, brings them back to full strength. The sound barrier is a little bit interesting, but they have it in their pocket. Overtime ticking away. Can they even get out to this point to stall out? They do, just barely. Dante's got a pulse bomb. I like that he just passively looks at the D.Va. He knows where he's going with that one.
He was just like, where's Kareev? Protect Kareev. Like, just keep the Matrix on Kareev. At least let him live a little bit longer. But now we have the nano boost coming in. XQC moving back in himself, and it's Pizza with the barrage. Finds two, and this is, again, very good stall from Immortals, but they haven't really come close to winning this fight. YIKES has been operating on all cylinders. He's final egg, Kareev, Dante.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's one of those things that you have to look at now. I just assume it's happening. And when I see Kareev alive, I'll just know that it didn't happen. Stallout is good. Verbo still alive. Hype does get remech'd. But it was a nice self-destruct from Hype, actually, to self-destruct and get himself a new suit is all he really wanted. Didn't really have ambitions of going there. Resurrection comes out here. This fight's still going on. And the brutal part is it's never been switched back over, so 99%. That will now be 2 stages for YIKES versus 1 on Immortals. And the RNG is going to be important for Immortals because they really only look competitive on one of these stages.
Yeah, we'll see just where we go to for the next round, where you're not guaranteed to play every round twice. It's 5 rounds if you go to the limit, so if you have a favorite stage, you're not always guaranteed to get it.
They have to go for Gardens. It was their best look over top. Space came over top. That was when we were at the Soldier's POV, and he just popped Visor and had to run away.
I mean, right now, I have to ask you, Hex, how uncomfortable is it for Kareev right now being directly in the center of Dante's Inferno?
It's an epic poetry. I mean, he's on the 9th layer of hell at this point. Like, he is all the way down there. Oh, man. I did not expect a lit reference from you. Well done.
You know, we're all full of surprises. We're in university. I mean, maybe I read some books in the middle of that.
Yeah, I mean, showing off by being able to read. You know I struggle. I've graduated to the back of cereal boxes. That is my literacy level at this point in time. Part of a complete and balanced breakfast. Over the top is Za, and he's looking for a little bit of damage. They did unfortunately not roll Gardens, which is the map they looked best on. And we'll see if they can just finally find an answer for this guy. They just haven't been as dominant against this pharmacy as you need to be. Dante will take down Fate. There's some sort of allegory in there, but I'm too lazy.
He wants to add PETA to his enemies list. But for YIKES, this is a very good engage here. You saw Za controlling the skies, landed very good rockets and push Immortals back a bit. And Immortals, again, they can delay this for ages. They can delay all day long, but they still lose control of the point to begin with. And that's tough here on the City Center when we've seen how good YIKES is about just playing on the edges and making it difficult to get that full team wipe.
I'm going to take credit for the reverse caster curse here because I called out Dante after the first stage of Hollywood, and it has been his show since then. He's got Pulse Bomb ready, and that should terrify Kareev.
I mean, we gave Kareev props for just not dying on Hollywood, and I don't know. I mean, he mortgaged his Hollywood performance for, well, I don't know what the pressure that's been going on here, but it's been tough. Either way, Dante, again, switching his targets here, the tanks, just finding Fate early on with that Pulse Bomb, and when you get hit by a Pulse Bomb that early on before you're able to engage effectively, it just kills your push outright. Immortals has no choice but to go back and regroup.
Yeah, with both tanks out of the mix, you can't just walk in there with these damage-boosted rockets being thrown at you. They've hadn't had a problem with the ground war at all, and the Sky War's been able to do whatever they wanted. What do you change here if you're Immortals? Do you stick at it? Do you just send Hype, say, Hype, you're only going after Za. Don't even touch any other button.
I mean, you certainly have to mitigate Za here. You need Agilities to have a big blade, which he hasn't had a whole lot of here so far. And he's getting booped and bopped away. The Sound Bear ruining his life. Gets 1. Now they have 2. The problem is for Immortals is how do they get a decisive team fight? The Resurrection comes in, and it just stops them from getting everyone at once, because now YIKES is going to spread out a little bit more. Za comes in off the flank, and it's been so difficult for Immortals to actually hunt down everyone on YIKES at the same time, even when they have good initiations.
You know what's really beautiful about that while the barrage was happening is you saw Space just come up under his Pharah and put him in the Matrix. It's such a small thing that you don't see. Whoa. All right, we're just doing a Keanu the rest of the day. Let's do the rest of the cast of Keanu. ZP, go ahead. No, it's okay.
That was my Keanu. It's like,
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Dante's still being the terror on supports in the background, and quietly, this has been 99-0, overtime in progress. Immortal has shown very little promise on this map, and unless they show us something we haven't seen, this control is going over to YIKES.
I mean, the problem is for Immortals, again, is that they're just not able to kill everyone at the same time. If they kill Ginger Pop first, YIKES is still able to come around the flank and do work. If they don't kill Ginger Pop, even if they kill 3 people, the Resurrection comes in, brings him back up. Immortals just is not able to win a complete fight here, and that is ruining them in terms of retaking.
All right. So he does miss. He does miss Pulse Bombs. We saw it right there. Going after him, and still the overtime comes in. Agilities has had enough of this mess. He's going to slash through, get 4 kills. They might finally be able to take it back, but if you're YIKES at this point, you don't really care that much.
I mean, in some respects, this is a really hard round to retake, so we'll see how much they care in a few fights. But yeah, I mean, Agility's revenge meter, if there was one, clearly popping off there as he finally is able to go in and get the decisive team fight that you need to pull that back in your favor.
It's a beautiful one clip on a Zenyatta. There's so many Tracers who get fearful of the Zen, and they will not finish that clip, will not finish the last couple of bullets that they need there, and that's not been Dante at all. Barrage is at the ready. We'll see if he can live inside the Matrix. He does live inside the other Matrix, gets 0 from that Barrage.
However, YIKES coming in. Za able to pick off 2 from the sky. And Zaz doesn't really have that much pressure on him to begin with, but it's Kareem who actually takes down both. That was a beautiful secondary fire to bring it back in. You want to talk about revenge meters being charged here. Kareem has perhaps had enough as Immortals now. For as rough as it looked in the beginning, now YIKES is in the same boat where how do you evict Immortals from the point? Because we've seen them be very effective in their stall.
You know what's beautiful about that? The 3 kills that he got allowed him to get Transcendence because he just ate another Pulse Bomb, but transcended his way out of it. A beautiful play from Kareem's going to force out the Resurrection, bring him back to full force, and I definitely spoke way too soon. 61% on the side of Immortals. You mentioned this map so hard to take back. I mean, all of Oasis so hard to take back.
Well, particularly for Immortals, though, because even in rounds of the Okay, you know what? I'm just going to take umbrage here where how good is the mechs that you're putting D.Va in where it just gets dumpstered by a car? Why is the car stronger than a military mech? What is... I'm done.
Go ahead, ZP. I'm dead.
I'm dead. I'm deader than Kareem last round. I don't know.
Props to our observers. That was the best shot of Overwatch I've ever seen in my life. All right, well, there's still a match going on. 93% for the side of Immortals. There's a half take, a partial take already coming down. Agilities has come alive. His last go blades have been very, very good. And it is now 99-99, so the first person to get pushed off this point will lose the round, and Immortals
they might have brought it back. That's what I'm saying, like, call me when you get to the end of this map here, because it's so difficult to retake, and Immortals, they're very good about not giving up things that they already own. It's like the 2-year-old that really doesn't want to share his toys, while Immortals doesn't want to share the point.
I know we're just going to be at dinner later, and I'm going to start laughing, so I'm telling everyone right now, that's what I'm laughing at. That's what I'm laughing at for the next several days. Oh, please clip that, send it to me. I need that in HD. I'm gonna have a TV in my house that just plays that clip.
I mean, honestly, with your general like love of D.Va, and I say that in the most sarcastic terms, I feel like it's cathartic for you to just see D.Va get run over by a car.
It's not just me. I mean, I think a lot of people are very happy with that clip. She's frustrating for anyone who shoots any bullet or projectile. So
I think you'll D.Va run it over with a car.
Oasis is now my new favorite map.
Can the car be a new hero, by the way? I mean, like, it's clearly able to just wreck D.Va in one shot. You know, convertible coming to Overwatch next month.
People did not understand this was going to be a hero reveal, and that's the new hero just happened on the side of the road. Well, this is great for Immortals. Well, that they're able to bring back that last stage. Actually, no, I spoke too soon. The garden stage would have been better for them. I thought they showed up better there, but they turned it around completely 99-0 last game. We'll see if they can do it here. Maybe just took them a second to find their groove.
It's coming down to wire, and you want to talk about first control being important. It's always been important control maps, but more so important the way both of these teams play, where they don't give up the point easily. Both teams have struggled to get full kills, so whoever gets first control here is going to be important. And for YIKES, they start out on the right foot. They have the man advantage, and they start swarming over the point, but Pizza's out of it, and now it really could go either way as both teams get down and dirty here in the university.
Yeah, they go after Ginger Pop. He is targeted down. A combination of agilities and Grim will take him out of the fight at only 50%. Resurrection, that bodes very well for Immortals as they get low. Agility is hiding out somewhere, will get found and killed eventually by Dante, but that is really the only highlight for YIKES. First point should be taken by Immortals.
And this is very decisive. This is what Immortals is struggling to do the first time around here in university. So YIKES, given that they did lose the last round after being up 99%, this is not a good omen to start out here in the university where there's plenty of pressure on them. And I guess the real question here is, will Dante be able to get on Kareem the way he did before? So far, Kareem's been much better protected. He has a Transcendence up already. It's been a better round compared to the slaughter of the last university.
Yeah, they've been keeping Kareem alive much more. I think it's so important. He's going to have that Transcend up as they try to come in. It's going to make it very difficult for them. Ginger Pop is nearing his Resurrection as well as they give about 70% for free. That Transcend does come down onto the point. Still bloodless. Grim taken out early by Za, but evened up by his buddy Agilities.
Well, this is where the blade can be so effective here, where you want to talk about needing decisive fights. How are you going to get a decisive fight where Agilities just ruins your backline?
Yeah, it killed Ginger Pop too. I think that blade should be safe for Ginger Pop at all times. Be the anti-air. All you have to do is get a nice little poke and then a swipe onto Mercy, take her out of the fight. When she falls, so will Za, because you can't transition quickly enough to go heal him up. And I think that's always the key to the fight. You know, kill the Mercy, kill the healer. There's been literature dedicated to killing healers.
I mean, there's been famous comics dedicated to killing healers.
I think it's literature. That's my concept of high art.
Well, in any case, YIKES is still doubling down here in this fight. The Resurrection comes in, it brings them back up. Tracer v Tracer on the side, but Dante gonna win that battle. So now, YIKES with a great opportunity to bring this back, and they're holding firm at the moment.
Yeah, nice for them as they do even it up here. They will take the lead percentage-wise as we go through. This will be the last stage regardless in our control map on Oasis, and this one has been closer than many of them have been. Going to be difficult to get back in here, and just, you eat so much damage. You got to get behind the Diva and just push. Just go.
I tend to agree, and one thing too is that you do have to deal with Zai. You can't let him just be over the top, but he's well protected. He's way in the back. The rest of YIKES is in the front, so you do have to get on the fair Mercy combo. They take XQC out first, they do it the front line, and now, not much is protecting the back line, and you take a look at Ginger Pop, the res is nowhere close to being brought up here, so this could be a quick retake indeed for Immortals.
And the microcosm has been Dante versus Kariv, but you see him killed there. But the real story was you saw it at the bottom of our screen earlier where Dante went after Kariv, took him 2 clips, unable to get it, got pressured out, had to rewind, so it's not the quick, decisive kill on a Kariv that he needs.
No, it's not, and I'm just going to note bonus points for Zod dying mid-air and just gracefully falling into the hole. I mean, you don't want to litter here in the universe, so you have to throw your Pharahs away.
Pharah doesn't do anything without grace. She is the Rocket Queen. Show some respect.
Well, the next fight is underway. Self-destruct into the back line for YIKES. Not going to connect here early on. Both teams, 5 versus 5. Soundbear in as YIKES, they don't have a lot of time to work with you. They would love to retake this here, 72-66.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, though, Ginger Pop goes down early, and he's been getting focused much more effectively here, Lex.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. Both the tanks got into the mix there, too. They're just sending everyone past the front line, and they know that the core of this composition is decided so heavily by the Mercy they've gone after it. Next fight will be largely about Ginger Pop yet again as Resurrection has come online. I like that Grimm's just chilling out behind Zenyatta, too. Instead of going forward, trying to get some poke, which is not all that impactful, keeping Kariv alive is impactful.
Kariv's agent called in the middle last round and said, by the way, new terms of service.
Yeah.
Actually, Kariv needs a bodyguard, but it's been working out. He has had a lot more space here. Now the next fight is underway. Grimm's in the back. Pulse Bomb doesn't quite hit. XQC gonna make this room a party. Raging out here because he is on the verge of losing this map. And we're in overtime, Hex, but this could go for a while. Both teams still even. Ginger Pop with the res, and this would be a big res if he came in right here.
Yeah, that is an enormous res that they needed. Still in control of Immortals, though, at 72% only on the board for YIKES. A couple of quick kills. That's all the support, all this damage permanent, and that will lead to a flip by YIKES.
You talked about earlier about how Ginger Pop is feeling really great when he can come in and use a res to win a fight rather than make it even.
Yeah.
That is the utmost example of a fight-winning Resurrection where they were down really low, comes in, gets a good res, and now it's Immortals that are on the hot seat. 2-2 here on Oasis in OW Contenders where every map counts. It's going to be a lot up to Agilities and Kariv here to move in. Transcendence Blade combo will be in play.
Well, that blade does come out. He goes right after Ginger Pop, but he is elusive, able to get away. The cyber agility not necessarily working there for Agilities, ironically enough, unable to climb that ledge and get anything out of that blade. But it is the new additions combining here. Mirage comes over top, only takes out Hyped. Ginger Pop down, can't clutch out a res. Now it's up to Dahoon to stall. Well, that dream died very quickly as he walked over the wall. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller?
Nope. And it's going to be Immortals taking the map away from YIKES, and that's rough from YIKES. YIKES was in a great position there towards the end.
Yeah.
And you gotta think back to not Gardens, but City Center where they're at 99-0. And they let Immortals back in.
The really tough part for them is their best map types are hybrid and control.
Yeah.
And they're best by a mile. They're like 75% win rate on both of those types, or their other win rates are hovering around 50%. So those are maps that they would have loved to have. I mean, this is a team known for their control domination, and they just got it stolen away from Immortals.
Stolen is a really good way of putting it, but not to divert from that line of conversation, but I just wanted to share with you guys, I have an idea. That match gave me an idea for maybe a new game mode, like a Frogger-esque game mode where you have to try to, you're fighting exciting, but you're also in danger. I just
only
think about it. Think
only
about
if
it.
every hero is Diva, because we just need to see more of Diva getting run over by cars. That's my wish.
You guys remember when Diva got hit by that car?
You just got a preview into like the whole next week here of what this is gonna look like. No, but let's talk about the game. So coming into the desk. After the first like 3 points, my line of questioning was going to be, hey, agilities, he was playing Pharah in the first one, focusing the ground more, and they were able to win on Gardens. Why wasn't he playing that? And then I saw him on Genji, and now my line of questioning is more, oh my gosh, is he good at Genji or what?
It's the best Genji in North America. I would challenge anyone to a debate about
Here
it.
it is.
I would challenge anyone to a debate about it.
I wish you had a gauntlet or glove you could just throw down on the desk and be like, agilities, that's my man.
You mean like quietly dropping this pen doesn't do it for you?
You know what, the pen looked expensive, but I've heard it's only $10, so I'm not.
Come on, they don't know that.
Wow, outed on stream. But yeah, I mean, and you can see he was a threat even to the Pharah Mercy combination there.
Yeah.
And another major factor here, and something that I thought YIKES did really well that was a boon to them, was focusing on Kariv. He had a target on his back, a high percentage. I actually want to go back and watch these VODs and see which fights Immortals was able to win and if Kariv was dead at the very beginning of them.
Gil, to me, it was a game of adjustments, right? You look back at Hollywood. Yeah. Kariv was basically invincible. He had very little pressure on him, had more transcendence than we've ever seen in many cases. And yet you go to early on here on Oasis, what do you see? Dante is just continually beating him. And that's a phrase that's almost light compared to what happened, where every fight, Dante was going, or Kariv was going down the Dante. But then what does Immortals do? They have 2 rounds of this, and Kariv probably goes on chat and goes, yeah, guys, we need to fix this. And they adjust. They give Kariv more protection. He's able to stay alive. And suddenly, Immortals looks a lot better on the fights that they're actually taking.
I think it's why Immortals fans are Immortals fans, is because they've, throughout the meta, they've been stable. They make adjustments when the meta shifts, and then even the in-game adjustments. They're a cerebral team. They practice hard. They work hard, and they make. What are you grinning at?
I don't know.
He's probably thinking about divas.
No, I just like he's got such a mischievous grin that I'm like, is someone gonna dump water on me? I just don't know what's gonna happen.
Dude, ZP just gets
the water on him yet.
He gets into this mode where it's like hard to turn him off. I don't know if like it was the juice we had before this, but Temple of Anubis is going to be our next map, and Immortals they've already secured at the very least a draw. We're going into Temple of Anubis, and we already talked about the strengths of these teams on Hybrid and Control, and so coming into Assault and Escort, I mean, Immortals has actually been a team that I've really liked on Assault. I don't know their exact statistics, but even when they weren't looking nearly as strong, they were able to pull things out a lot and delay things, especially on like second Anubis very well.
The key word for me there is delay. Even when Immortals was looking bad, even when Kariv was more familiar with the spawn room area than the outside, Immortals was still able to stagger in such a way to keep things in contest for a very long time. Yes. And that's important in Overwatch, where if you can play in such a way that you don't give up things for free, if you make the most of every opportunity, it can get to opponents. We even saw fights where Immortals might have lost 4 people early on, but they kept the contest going forward, and they were able to bring the fight back in their favor. And not every team can do that.
Even specifically to this map, I remember very specific times in a different tournament where Immortals, they looked bad and they were being beaten, but they stalled out for like 5 minutes with like 98% on the ticker. It was frustrating to watch. I was like, the other team just wants to uninstall right now. It was like 25-1 in the kill feed, just the ratio of deaths, but it didn't matter. They played the objective, and their stall game is strong.
Well, they are called Immortals, so apparently they don't fear death. They don't fear death even when they're dying 25-1 trying to get back onto the point.
We will put their name to the test.
Yes. Their play in and of itself is a role play on their name. So my question then is, how are YIKES going to adapt
that
coming out
actually
here? Hey, I made someone laugh.
You made him cry, really.
Yeah, well, that'll...
I mean, how do they I don't know, really, because it seemed like their plan was to take down the backline, and it's going to have to be another adjustment. Yeah. You need to switch targets now. And what you can do is take advantage of that he is being protected very hard in the back line so that you know that their front line might be weaker. So maybe start picking on Fate instead up front or deback the Divas often. It's going to be interesting until we see the compositions that they run to really figure it out.
I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because it did feel like that adjustment already came in a bit. Because remember we were talking about, well, Kareev was in trouble. And it's like, well, what's his next target? Winston.
Yeah.
I think that adjustment already happened to some extent. And, I mean, it is interesting to see the sort of unwritten game of target selection going to the background between the two teams. It's not easily viewable at times in broadcast because of how fights break out, but you did see over the course of that last matchup that there are plenty of adjustments going forward.
Yeah, and it's also something that we're going to be seeing even more as we move throughout Overwatch Contenders. Teams are going to have to get more agile, not only in the long term of being able to make roster swaps and change out their strategies, their macro strategies, but they're going to have to know how to make adjustments in the moment, and that can be difficult. It may be easy for us to see what adjustments can be made or should be made, but you don't realize how fast-paced these guys are just trying to click, literally and figuratively.
And I mean, speed in Overwatch is continually getting faster as now we've brought cars into the mix skill, so who knows what brave world we're heading to.
That was pretty good. That was actually pretty good. Well, it looks like we are going to be going into Temple of Anubis, where YIKES, they're going to be trying to bring this to 2-2 and draw out Immortals. Immortals, they could at least take a W with this map alone.
I love the graffiti on the cruise. I always bring it up, and the reason I bring it up is because there's a hero in Heroes of the Storm called Murky that I think you love playing against.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Murky. Let me tell you, that hero was my favorite hero. It was a dark time in life.
He's so cute. He's got an Easter Bunny outfit and everything. I don't know how you don't like solo laning and just annoying people.
He wears a diaper. It's like an egg diaper, Hex.
He's a baby. You heard it here first, folks. ZP hates babies.
Only if they're Murlocs.
Wow. All right. Well, Temple of Anubis, we're going to dark places, apparently.
Very dark places. That's a dungeon they're going to throw me in for hating Murloc babies.
And rightfully so. I'm on board. I will lead the prosecution there. I got a lot of dirt on this guy next to me. We spent a lot of time together. So Anubis,
I'm gonna just call up the guy who ran over Diva, Hexy, and enjoy her walk home.
Yeah, it's the pedestrian-friendly city that is Denver. All right, well, I thought we were definitely going to see different compositions here, and that seems to have come to bear already. It's a map that you can run Pharmacy on. I prefer running her on defense on last, to be honest. I think Farrah can be very good there as they have to come through these small corridors. But what are you seeing here for both compositions?
I think for me, the main thing that I want to see is how YIKES, with somewhat of a divey defense, deals with the Widowmaker, because going all the way back to Carbon Series and even the recent times, we've seen teams struggle to actually deal with the Widow well, where they overcommit, and even if the Widow doesn't get early kills, well, they've lost the tank early on and the rest of the team can roll right in. So I really do want to see what Kareev does with this, and more importantly, how YIKES adjusts to this early Widow pressure.
The odds he's just going for Dante here are pretty high, as they do try to get some pressure. Dante does by Kareev yet again, though, as they trade out on the point. XQC already dead, so it's nice to get some trades on the offense here. It's a very long reinforcement here. So meanwhile, even though Kareev went down, he's going to switch to the Sombra of all things, but it doesn't really matter. This is an all completely one-sided fight.
The thing is here is that, yes, Dante was thrown out of the fight early on. That was probably one of the better Widow counters we've seen. It just didn't matter. Immortals engage onto that point was decisive. It wasn't flashy. It's just they leapt onto the right targets and blew them up. And now they're going to have momentum going in the second. And you thought we were going to see Sombra, but Kareev, man of many talents, wants to pass into the Iris once more.
It's all good. We're going to see Sombra from Ginger Pop, as he is a man of many talents on the other side of things. Defensive Sombra, something we've seen on this map a great deal, and being able to decide where to take the fight is so important. And we saw it yesterday a little bit that you might see fights out here, which you don't see very often with the Sombra. If you can get a good MP out there, why not? But that's going to be a little bit away, only at 31%, as the engagement comes hard from Immortals.
Immortals right now going straight up the gut, straight for the face, if you will. YIKES, though. Blade is out here. Dante out for blood. Not really getting much on this blade early on. We'll find Verbo towards the end, and Agility's his blade out as well. And it's, for Immortals, it's okay, but it's probably not enough. YIKES has killed enough here to probably throw them up.
Yeah, they do add in another stall character, and it's gonna be May. There is more stall coming out. Korea, they don't really want to give this up just yet. Did you get the Britney reference?
Just a little bit. I was actually going to say May was the driver of the car, and when she hopped out, she said, sorry. Either way, though, Immortals is still keeping on the pressure right now. They have the Transcendence. Kareem not giving up here just yet, and usually I actually see teams go for resets here on last, but I don't think Immortals knows the meaning of the word, and this pressure is working out. Yikes is still very much against the wall. They've already given up a tick, and when I say against the wall, it's not their ice wall, it is the proverbial wall of Immortals laying on the pressure.
It's a bad ice block there because it was off the point, too. Gives up another bit of percentage. The Blizzard will come in, but gets no kills on the follow. You know why I love that they came back in on this one is because they knew the Sombra was in the field. You don't want to give her time to get the EMP and push into the EMP every single time. Keep brawling.
This is really good for Immortals. A lot of teams would have backed out after losing 2-3, but they were able to keep it going. This team does not back out for any reason, and this is going from bad to worse for Yikes. Yikes.
That was amazing.
It was great.
Usually once you lose one or two, you know, I'm pretty comfortable being like, that's over. We're going to get a reset. Immortals just kept the brawl going, and I think a lot of it is because when you don't want to let the defense set up. We always talk about it. Your first push on Assault into last is your best push, usually. And Immortals just wanted to hold on to that first push, and they just kept it going. Beautiful play.
Now, let me ask you this here, because we don't see it from all the teams anymore. There was a point where it was very competition standard. Were you a fan of the May there, both in terms of usage and just in general, where you did see some walls and you see how Blizzard came out, but I don't know if it was really super effective in this case.
I think it's still in the mindset of we need to stall, go to May. I think she can still be very good if you get in the corner, if you use your ice blocks correctly, but that didn't happen. The wall corner didn't come in, the ice block was off the point, and it seems like a small thing, but that gave them, I want to say, just eyeing it up 20% more on the point, just because the ice block wasn't there. That's 20% they shouldn't have, and that could be everything. That's another body getting on the point. It's another kill that could have meant, it's a huge mistake, to be honest. To have a May in ice block not contesting the point is completely antithesis of her purpose. But I don't think they're fans of it either, but they're still in the mindset of May's a good stall character, someone run May.
I could definitely buy that. And now, of course, you take a look here. Next matchup coming up right after this, Toronto Esports versus LG Evil. And I gotta say, even though LG Evil looks to be favored there, Hex, Toronto Esports, if you're a fan of great carry players, look out for Jaru, guys. That guy's great.
There's some good players on that team. They were impressive to watch. I was surprised by them last week or so. I still think LG Evil should, if they don't get out of that group, something has gone terribly wrong in my mind. There's some good teams there, but they're not there yet, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to take a look here at this round as now Yikes kind of up against a wall here where they're under heavy pressure, not just to finish out Temple of Anubis Hex, but do it with time remaining. You seeing anything out of the ordinary here for the Immortals defense?
Nope, nothing out of the ordinary. Looks very typical to me. I mean, we don't see Ana on every composition anymore, but I think it makes sense here. It's good, especially when you've scouted Yikes and you know that they're very likely to run this composition. Ana could be great at just poking away at the Mercy and making her think twice, and the anti-heal can be super useful as well.
So Yikes right now, they're running a dual approach here where they have most of everyone going up the front. You have Zod going off the flank to the left through the window. We'll see just how effective it is as right now they're taking a bit of their time. They're really actually diving back on the Fate.
Yeah.
They broke back, dealt with Fate in the back line, and now they've earned themselves a 6v5, so I do like the adjustment to the dive coming in from the Immortals.
I wonder what emote's going to be spammed after you just said broke back.
I don't know. That is a technical term, so I make no apologies.
Yeah, unintentional memeing from ZP. Usually his memes are much more intentional. Meanwhile, on the point, it is death and destruction being dealt out by Yikes. Farrah came in over the top. They didn't have a response for it. I don't know, that's first point, but this is the push you need to watch right now. First push should only be the best push. No ultimates up here. Resurrection could come online during this fight, though.
As good as Immortals looked on their attack, this attack so far from Yikes has been even cleaner, more decisive. Ginger Pop almost has a res, and that's a key thing here. If he can stay alive, he can bring up anyone who might die in this initial push. He's about to have it back up, and Dante just cleaning up around, but no! They get public enemy number one. Ginger Pop is out, and now Yikes is gonna have to do this down healing and without a res, but doesn't really seem to be slowing them down, Hex.
Well, we shall put their name to the test. We talked about Immortals being very good at the stall out. At this in particular, desuiting space is nice. You gotta start getting a couple kills here if you want the stall to work. Somehow don't finish the plate there, but Kareev will go down.
Ginger Pop can still get in. We have the Ginger Pop cam. He's gonna dash right in. How many heroes never died? Ginger Pop rolls in and only gets space. It was just a little bit late.
How many hero never died? Brings up space, but this should be held. They've gotten the kills they need, in my opinion. Space. Why did you bring me back to life just to die again? Why did you program me to feel pain? All right, so they're out. They are evicted, and now Immortals is loaded up. 6 ults across the board.
This is what YIKES did not want to happen in any way, shape, or form, because getting in on point B against a fully loaded team, easier said than done. They got Karif, who was poking out early, so this is one of the ways they can do it while down ultimates, and that's why they're investing here. The sound barrier is out, and so self-destruct. Agility's in rough shape, not able to blade here. Has to wait for the heal. Now he can come back in, and the engagement from YIKES does not get the kills they're looking for, and this is going to let Immortals turn the tables, but they've drained a lot of ults out of Immortals.
Oh yeah, all of them.
Yeah,
absolutely. They had 6, now they have 0, and I'm no mathematician, but I think that's all of them. What I'm really wondering is, how was he able to? Oh, never mind. Okay, sorry. I saw a pack thing happen, and I was like, why is Sombra doing this?
Actually,
beautiful stall.
yes. She needs. Why am I sympathizing with the diva here? I don't understand. But one thing I'll note. The reason why Immortals had to expend so many ultimates there is that was their toll for Karif dying early.
Yeah.
They had to spend more ultimates than they otherwise would have liked to make an uneven fight more even, because it would have been a clean 65 for YIKES.
Because that's the best thing about EMP, one of the best things. It charges fast, but it also allows you to save your economy. To be able to use the EMP, you don't necessarily have to use giant combo follow-ups there.
No, indeed, and now YIKES, straight to the point. The EMP comes out, no dashes here for Dante, just raw blading right into Diva's back, but he's not going to get too much from it there. Instead, the EMP sets up Immortals to counter dive in and just swiftly throw YIKES off the plate.
Taken out of it, so already going to be a worse time, of course, but now they just have to worry about finishing this map. 4 minutes or so, another beautiful stall. The Space program has been slashed. He has gone down.
I think Space is wondering why the Diva mechs don't come standard with cyanide capsules.
that would make her too strong. Let us know in the next patch. If that's a feature you're exploring. Karif going down early is brutal. This is it's going to force him to use ultimates here. A good opening here for YIKES.
It's a good opening. I mean, they punish Karif again, but it doesn't really matter. Agility was able to get to the backline, take down not one, but both supports. So as quick as that fight was, it's already pretty much over in favor of Immortals.
Yeah, already out of it, so what did that take? About 30, 40 seconds or so. A very clean kill late. Space dies. Wow, the chase from Agility is getting very aggressive. So I'm just trying to measure out how many pushes you think they have left. 3, 4 at best?
I mean, right now it's 3 minutes, 20 seconds. I would say it even could be as many as 5. It just depends how quickly YIKES wants to roll in. I mean,
they
YIKES
get wiped. Yeah,
they're known for just diving in repeatedly. The question is, how many good pushes are they going to have? And for me, that number is going to be 1 if they're lucky. They're behind on ult economy right now. They're going to have to do a few pushes to get ahead, potentially. And even then, you're never really ahead when going in on Assault for Temple Anubis. Oh, okay. Agilities runs afoul of a Hog, and this Hog switch perhaps has opened the door here. It's a really good switch.
I think Hog on last needs to be played more often. It's so good at getting that early advantage, the early entry kills, as we call them here. Now this stall will come out at Discord and Winston below, but now the Transcend, this is their best chance here so far. We'll see if the stall can work again for Immortals. Karif's going to have to come out not close to any ultimates here. Verbal needs to stay alive and build this because the sound barrier would be great for them.
Hex, they are Immortals because they die a lot in situations like this. Don't let the cognitive dissonance hit you on the way out, but this is still tough to deal with here because you will have Immortals coming in delaying. They're certainly on the back foot, but look at the dive into the back. Agilities and Fate give each other a ceremonial high five there as they have just cut the legs out from this YIKES push.
That's all the healing. The blade will come in, and when you're not getting healed, you're not going to live through the samurai sword of Genji. That's it. They push him all the way back.
Why does this keep happening?
I mean, you don't have to sympathize with the hero, but there's a human being behind that keyboard.
A human being that has sacrificed their morals and ethics is that what we're seeing there, Hex.
Remember when she got hit by the car earlier? They're going to set up 90 seconds left for YIKES to just even get this going. Space is going to have the self-destruct. He's going to try to get something going in there, and we'll see if it works out. But back against the wall here, this is probably their last decent push coming in with Primal Rage and self-destruct. Nice start.
It's a very good start here. Now they got the 65 to open up. The self-destruct to the back. Space not getting that sweet revenge here just yet. 5 on 5. And the EMP comes out. This is where Immortals, they can put a dagger into YIKES right now off the EMP, but they don't quite convert on as much as they would want. They've got a few key kills, but it's YIKES, the final gasp here. 1 minute left remaining, and they're only a tick away. I mean, they have chunked away at the progress here over time, but Immortals is still very good at stalling in this situation.
Well, the offense actually going to stall here too, getting Primal Rage out on the point, letting the people come back in at full force. XQC has got some targets in his sights there. Grim is able to desuit space, so a lot of the stall potential of the offense actually comes out. XQC has to bail on this one, and EMP comes out. As soon as you see EMP, you know what's soon to follow is Zenyatta just dies. I just don't know why they even make him not just disappear.
I mean, look, as far as robotic buildings go, or building a robot, they clearly didn't value EMP shielding very heavily in the Zenyatta model. I'm sorry.
It's weird, because I put EMP shielding in my butter passing robot.
You know what? That is his only purpose in life, Hex, and he's proud of it.
Dear God. All right,
oh my God.
Last push coming in on the offense. Tries to stop it right away, does Grim. Not going to happen. 2/3 agility, busts on the blade.
Here comes the blade from Agilities. This could be it for Immortals, what they need to win Anubis right here and now. And Transcendence making Agility's job not very fun at all. Immortals going to double down here, though. The Sound Bearer is out, saving Agility's life. And yikes, already down one. Play the Mission Impossible theme here, Hex, because it is getting grimmer by the moment for Yikes. They're losing member after member. And though you still have XQC and Space still on the point, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to turn this back in their favor.
Yeah, self-destruct comes down, just gets a bubble put over it from Space. This offensive stall is important, though. It keeps it alive. It lets your team come back in and help you out. XQC used the Primal Rage yet again to buy more time for his team. Not over just yet. Space desuited, and XQC, who are the last remnants keeping hope alive for their team, will die unceremoniously.
That's the first time Space has died on point. The one time they give him the mercy of death, because all they need to do is throw people off the point.
Yeah. Celebratory blade at the end. Immortals, man. I thought this was going to be a lot closer, and there were some close moments, especially on Hollywood, but it seems they've found whatever gear they're looking for about halfway through. I think a lot of this stuff we talk about Immortals is their comms are going to be so important, but maybe coming online even as the games go up, because they are a dual language household now.
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, this, I would say Hollywood was very decisive for Immortals. Yikes made Control very close, and arguably they should have been able to grab it.
Yeah.
Going to Assault, even going into this matchup, I would have had Immortals taking this rather cleanly to begin with, just because I think they've put more practice into Assault relative than a lot of other Western teams. So the fact that Immortals comes out to win here, not too surprising.
And we're starting to see a lot more evolved strategies coming out onto Assault. It has been a little bit of a forgotten map type in history, but, well, first of all, I just have to say, it's been a terrible day for Divas. I mean, it's been a rough day.
Boo.
All right.
There's a lot of animosity amongst some of these high pro teams about D.Va. She can be so frustrating to play, and she shuts down every DPS. It's super frustrating. Well, I mean, she's shutting down my Pharah. I better switch. The only one who actually has a decent chance against her is Tracer, actually. She can be a pretty decent alt charge and alt battery, if you will.
As long as you don't throw the bomb in the defensive matrix, well, that's one way of cutting through a mech. But, I mean, teams have definitely gotten better at dealing with D.Va over time, and certainly teams are very good about recognizing stall opportunities. You didn't usually see teams way back in the day always stall at Divas, but they go, wait, we just delay our death a little bit, buy ourselves 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, and over the course of a match, that sort of stalling that we saw happen to Space over and over again can buy you about a minute or two for free.
Well, you know, I mean, it may not get a lot of love from the pro community, from a lot of people, but maybe I'm just a sucker for defense. Yeah, I was that boring guy that like was watching basketball growing up, just thinking how good the defenses were. And I know that's not flashy, but it definitely gets the job done. And I think D.Va will attest to that. That victory gives Immortals the W on the scoreboard, but now we're playing for potential tiebreakers, as that is going to be the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in this case. I could probably come up with something better than that. And Yikes also going to be playing to just find some victory here coming into our fourth and final map.
I think this was Yikes' pick, yeah?
It definitely
Gibraltar. That's interesting, because let me read verbatim what my note is here, and I'm barely literate, so some time. Struggle on escort, worst being Gibraltar.
Well, it's one of those cases where maybe their Gibraltar is not great, but maybe they looked at the other options like, actually, we don't really want to go Route 66. Maybe they've had bad times on Route 66.
Yeah. I mean, usually go to Route 66 to get your kicks. Yeah. So the song has told me.
I mean, they get their kicks, it just goes to the rear, and not in the good way.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I don't know, I'm trying to think of what specifically they have that they can bring out here on Gibraltar. One thing that we didn't really mention too much, Dante on Genji, I did feel like he played that fairly well. He had a couple good Dragon Blades. Obviously didn't use it quite to the effect as Agilities was able to there. But, I mean, what else does YIKES have specifically that they could bring out here? Do they have a Widow? I actually am, like, checking my memory banks for a standout Widow player.
The problem is just historically with YIKES, they've been very good with the Pharah Mercy. And when you think about their original rise to glory, when they were catching teams off guard, you rarely saw Zaw on anything but the Pharah. But now it's no longer a secret. People know, oh, they're going to be running this. You have organizations with good coaching like Immortals that go, okay, they really like running this a lot. Let's make sure that we are prepped with that. So that's why you see Zenyatta 76 having a field day versus that. So I don't know if YIKES actually is a team that has a whole lot of tricks in their bag here, so to speak. I mean, they were very one note for a long time. They've definitely increased the level of options that they have, but I would say overall, Immortals probably has more options they can rely on than YIKES does.
I'm scanning the old memory banks, and actually I think YIKES plays this as standard can be, if I remember correctly, that they don't play forward, they don't even play mid, they play back. They put Pizza back there on the 76. I think, no, I might be confusing them with Selfless perhaps. All right, but we could see something very standard from them on the way back. I'm not entirely sure what their strategy is on this. If my stats were correct, this is a map that they struggle on, and you know, I wasn't on cast with you when you talked about Winston and his squatter rights, so you want to regale us with the story that you don't think Winston has a right to be in Gibraltar?
Look, they shut down Overwatch many a year ago. He went to this facility that for whatever reason they didn't feel a need to do anything with, probably because it's out in the middle of nowhere. He hacked into the power grid and used it to just fuel whatever illicit activities he's doing. I mean, look,
illicit activities. He's calling back the heroes to save the world.
There are laws against. Okay, we have laws and due process for a reason. Winston is a terrible lawbreaker.
Wow.
Like, I'm sorry. These are all just official facts.
He's lucky he's not getting prosecuted. He's out of your jurisdiction. There's no pardon coming from ZP.
I would throw him in a jail with no peanut butter.
Not even at the commissary?
No, I would actually, there would be a picture of Winston and it would just say, do not sell peanut butter to this gorilla.
Yeah, to this mammal. I think mammal's fair enough.
Mammal's good.
Would you taunt him, like, by putting a jar right outside of his cell?
I'm not cruel. I'm just fair.
Oh, I guess I've now exposed myself as the cruel one here. But I can do that dance. Ask me later, and I'll show you. I can also do the Winston dance. That's about it. That's the end of it. So we'll see what the defense wants to set up, and yeah, maybe I was kind of right. They don't play very far forward on the defense here, and yeah, what is this? They're playing Pac-D. I hate this.
They're actually stacking the car wash is what they're doing right now, so we'll see if this works out. The few times we've seen this happen, it has not worked out well for the team that is
putting
down
it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally going to get flanked from all sides here. Maybe it works out, but right now, Fate is licking his chops. He's like, I can cleave this many people for free? I mean, he's actually seeing Billy Mays in his mind right now. Billy Mays here for cleave an entire team. However, I mean, YIKES for now has been holding back. The question is for how long.
I've never seen this work. I understand the theory behind it, but it's one of those things where the theory might be better than the actual execution. I mean, this is the best I've ever seen it work, to be honest. They've lasted way longer than any other team.
Well, the Reinhardt shield just broke, so they're going to have a moment here of vulnerability as, I mean, it's working longer than expected. Let's give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
The first few times we've seen this, they've just died immediately, and Immortals just sitting here going, what?
Hey, there's the MP. They did it long enough to get the MP up. The two times we've seen this, the MP never got up. So that is the strategy behind it, right? You hack the pack, you get that second source of healing, and then you hold off long enough to stall them out. And they can't push the cart while you're there. That's the thing. You can't just ignore this and go past it. You have to evacuate from that room. So I'm happy to be proven wrong. I love new strategies. I love new ideas. I've seen this twice, and it was just below trash tier. They made it work. That's awesome.
I'm happy it worked, yes, because as you mentioned, the few times I've seen this, I mean, the room was just splattered with bodies and not in the good way.
Yeah, it sounds like your party room.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying not a good way. Is there a good way then? More than 11, but the Graviton's going to come in here from YIKES, and it's a rather vicious Graviton early on. Doesn't really get much, and Zaw going to get punished for the attempt. Jill uses the blade looking for a little bit more, and the threat of the blade has certainly unsettled the YIKES here. It's gotten them out of that room to some extent, but they're still near the payload. They still don't want to give up anything for free, but they're quickly running out of bodies to throw on the payload.
Yeah, in theory, this is where it all falls apart. I have no idea how Fate died to that. That was one of the easiest dodgeable self-destructs in the history of easily dodgeable self-destructs. Now, here's what I like about it, too, as a secondary effect. You have time to fight again.
You do have time to fight again in a sense, but they're really being slow in the rollouts, and now they're going to have to go through choke points. This is not great. Also, Immortals has 2 support ultimates up here, and whether it be Barrier or Transcendence first, YIKES doesn't have a whole lot to deal with it, and just crushed in the choke point of the upper window. And I guess one good part, I don't think they're going to get staggered too much here, given how quickly the payload was captured relative to them dying.
Perhaps they still got bodies out here kind of pressuring, waiting. Yet again, Space, waiting for the sweet release of Death there, is finally obliged by his counterpart and hyped. And similar to Assault, you want to ride this momentum. The next good push is right now. Graham is setting up for a Pulse Bomb, knows where the teams come in from.
Graham right now creeping, looking to just lob that right in. Doesn't want to throw it into the defensive matrix, which could be a threat. Risk it. The Razzle Dazzle right to the back line. Does plenty of damage. Not able to get the DMAC just yet, but he's a real threat in the back, and it means people aren't looking at Agilities from the front, who does finish that DMAC and starts going to town.
All Immortals on that fight. It's exactly what you want to see on your first offensive push through shuttle phase. No reason to even really take the top. That's a bit of a gamble by Grim, but sometimes you have to gamble. You know, able to DMAC was wonderful for them, able to take that out. So nice play from Grim. He's come alive today, and I questioned him a little earlier. Look, you could do a lot worse as a second DPS than Grim reality.
You certainly could. And by the way, Fate right now, this is an interesting spot where if the opportunity presented itself, he could just primal rage people off. For now, he's just going to save it, cleave people as they come in, and Immortals playing this very mechanically basic but effective here. They hold back, they punish YIKES as they come back in, and the Transcendence just seals the deal on top of the payload. And Hex, this is an incredibly fast time.
They are blazing through Gibraltar here, and a couple of late staggers mean a couple go down. Last is obviously has the biggest defender's advantage, one of the best hold, but you would ideally like to be able to hold on this hill and then at last. So the next fight, very important. Graham again creeping about.
Well, we talked about it the other day on Cast with Jason, where, you know, Tracer does creep more than other heroes. You think Reaper's a creeper in Overwatch, but Tracer is the one that just goes behind you late night and says, hiya, with an explosive. So it's actually very scary. Now the Dragon Blade comes in, Agilities moving forward, gets the early kill on the Za, and we'll see if that's enough to keep things moving forward.
Oh, you see really dainty footsteps then. Oh, man.
And then you wake up in the hospital with burns all over your body because you got exploded.
Wow. All right. I mean, I didn't want to go all the way through with that thought. I'm sure that my dreams will do that for me tonight, and or nightmares. Meanwhile, while the horror show comes into mind, Immortals have been crushing it. They've been going all the way through. Grim looking for someone on the pop out there, finds only D.Va. He's got Pulse Bomb waiting, and at some point, YIKES has to get a kill. That's my deep diving analysis. YIKES should try to kill Immortals. It would help.
Does killing help you win Overwatch games? Does preventing people from doing whatever they want, that helps. Kareem, going back to the good old days. He thought he was past this, but Dante layers in the Pulse Bomb to the back, and that should give YIKES what they need for a moment of reprieve.
No, Immortals does not want to let this one go. They use the Sound Barrier. Primal Rage still out there, getting some good progress. Virgo will finally fall, though, so now they've used ults to try to close it out. Still a couple of late kills. This is great for them. Fate probably will die here, but reinforcements should come up now. They bought enough time. A beautiful bomb on a landing XQC.
How is Grim still alive? He was down to like 15 HP there for a second, still stalling out. They're not giving YIKES the moment to breathe. They're not giving YIKES any time to get a full reset. Even when they're fighting uneven numbers, they take the risk, and it's paying off as the Blade out once more for Agilities, constantly out of its sheath, just trying to clear out the payload, and doesn't quite get what he's looking for here, as now YIKES still fighting back and forth. This is pandemonium in a sense.
They're still into this, and we talked about it all throughout all the tournaments we've seen Immortals, and we've known Immortals for a very long time, back into this Sody Pop days, right?
Yes.
They always add something new to their game, and one of the last tournaments we saw, they're adding an aggressive element, a super aggression element, but they were still a team traditionally who like to reset, like to get a full 6 and go back into fights. Now they're adding the brawler, scrappy element to their game, and I love it.
I do like the pressure it puts on teams. The problem is this is the flip side where it didn't work out, and they did sort of waste a lot of their time advantage. They had 4 minutes here, Hex, and those were long fights. They weren't able to cleanly take out YIKES, and now YIKES has a possibility of a hold before last, so it is a bit of a double-edged sword as we see Grim creeping once more. The Pulse Bomb at the ready. He might say hi at any time, you never know, as he looks for his target. But he's caught out a little bit here, has to back up.
Yeah, gets a little bit of damage on, and now they have to deal with the prospect that is Grim looking for those backlines. Dante's going to come in and try to check him on Tracer, but I don't know if that's the best idea. Does get very low, gets on the back. Dahoon already down from Agilities, while all the attention is focused on Grim. Agilities runs wild, 2 quick kills, support out of this fight.
And there's a sound barrier just to secure it a little bit more. It's not enough to save Hype's mech, but it is enough to let Immortals go even deeper. But space out of the skies, the self-destruct, treating Kareev to an explosion. And as a result, YIKES might very well still hold here.
Agilities gets dash resets enough to just to bust out the blade, but only 50 HP. Not going to say much about that because it is desperation time. They had to throw everything they had at the wall. Fate will be the last one. Has to jump away, which is questionable in that circumstance. I don't think they were going to get any more progress anyway, because he was like 40 health, but you do want to jump towards
Justice, Hex, at the end. Justice. Kareev. He didn't even care. It's like 4 people around him. We're losing the game. Dante.
Yeah.
Die.
You mean Poetic Justice, the movie with Tupac Shakur and Janet Jackson? Clearly, that's what you're talking about.
I have no idea what that movie is, and I'm proud for it.
That's all right, man. That's not that bad. Tupac plays a mailman. All right. Yeah, you into that?
You know what? I actually dreamt about Tupac as a mailman once. He dropped the beat in the mailbox. I don't know.
Oh, God, you're the worst.
You brought me down this path, Hex. You never knew.
I have, but I want to separate myself from it now. That's how I operate right there.
Way to shirk responsibility when things go badly. I mean, we're just finding out so much.
You knew this about me. You know that I will never take blame for anything. I'm a flawless individual created in Zenyatta's own image.
Hex is the guy who calls the cops at his own party and like sneaks out the back window.
I would never call the cops because you know how much I hate that knock.
You do hate the cop knock.
The cop knock. It puts fear into my heart.
I'm waking you up one day with that.
Yeah, and the day that we'll know specifically that we're not friends anymore.
I thought that was yesterday.
It was close. If you do that, I'm going to pretend to be you, get a key to your room, and wake you up with, hiya.
Okay, now we're not friends anymore, just so you know.
Sorry.
Bromance over. But take a look here at this defense, Hex, as it sets up. Immortals doesn't really look like they're going to be breaking mold too much. I don't think they're either going to be taking up residence in the new YIKES apartment underneath Gibraltar, where they couldn't quite get to where Winston was, but it was available. It was cheap.
I still thought it was a really cool strat. I mean, I've never seen it work. Again, I understand the theory inside of it, and it was really cool to see work. I'm very proud of YIKES just to watch the new stuff. The innovation that this team can come up with sometimes is really cool to watch. Gingerpop's going to start out on the Widow just for that peak early on, looking to find if there's a super aggressive offense, if he can get something for free. Now he's going to rotate over the bridge, try to find something there, and does not, will go back and probably come back onto a support.
Public service reminder, Gingerpop normally plays main support. Just so you know.
There it is.
It is the rather rare Zenyatta into Widowmaker swap. But yeah, you take a look here. YIKES finds that their apartment is completely empty. Immortals has not taken up residence underneath the car wash, but Immortals will be pressuring them when they try and roll up that driveway.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, it used to be called the car wash because Symmetra used to exist as a hero, and she'd put turrets under there, and she's got a really cool spray about it. Unfortunately, it has been a while. I want to watch Verbo here because he was one of the questions I had when they made all these changes. He was mainly going to run a Lucio, but they pressured him to run a lot of different things now. We'll see how his Ana goes.
Well, the Ana right now is working out well. He certainly is getting plenty of space from his team right here, but this is still a little bit rough for Immortals. They've given up a lot of room. YIKES already almost has this to the point. It's 0.23 away, so I almost wonder if Immortals was a little bit passive here. Even if they end up winning this fight, it does feel like they played with fire.
Yeah, they will get everyone healed up, though, and a couple of kills as Kareev has gone on a killing spree of his own on Zenyatta. We've seen his abilities there, and they will be able to hold at the very least. So a nice stall out here. Grim, I think, is going to try to rotate up to glass. Yeah, that's exactly where he wants to go. This room is glass, by the way. That is a common call.
I'm happy Grim went up that way rather than going around instead of channeling his inner Harblue, which we did. That's still like the best game of Roadhog ever here.
Right.
That was we've seen. But Grim treating Dahoon to the Helix Rocket. And off of that, there's really nowhere else to go here from YIKES but death or back. It's a difficult fight to win when you lose 2 people that clean.
Well, they use the boost onto Fate as well, just to push everyone out of there. Fate might just want to pop his Primal if he's not in a safe position right now. I don't know necessarily where he is. Here he comes back for heals. He's able to hold on to that Primal. And now they only had to use the boost to win that fight, pushed everyone back, and they're going to have a lot for this next defense. Under 2 minutes, ZP.
I actually think this is YIKES' window here, where they have a lot of ultimates charged up as so is Immortals.
Yeah.
It is going going to be an ultimate showdown that really decides whether or not YIKES is able to get through here, because if they blow everything here and don't get through, that is a disaster. Here they go. The barrier is coming in here early on. Early self-destruct, gonna be zoning Immortals back, but Immortals, they dive right back on. The Transcendence Kareem goes in deep, and you have both Winston just playing Rock'em Sock'em robots here on top of the payload, but it's Grim. While the Winston's on the payload, he's not on Grim in the back. He has plenty of room to work with, and that's gonna put Immortals over the top as YIKES. They spend all of their ultimate money here and get nothing.
Oh, good old Grim alone on the high ground. I've seen his story before. I know how it ends. He's pretty good when you don't really bother him up there. Actually, you know, it was a decent job to try to pressure him down, but if you don't have Pulse Bomb against the soldier who's got Biofield as Tracer, man, that's a tough prospect to win that fight. And so, especially against a soldier of the caliber of Grim. So, very difficult. Under a minute here, ZP. What do you see?
Well, we are down to a minute, as you just mentioned. If YIKES wants to get the consolation prize of one map, the comeback must happen now. They're going to have a heavy focus on the high ground. Tracer, Winston, D.Va all going to the top, and they find Verbo immediately. But will it be enough? Because the counter dive came in, both teams losing supports early on, but this is still better for YIKES. It is even all the way here so far, and now they're starting to go a little bit up. XQC barely able to escape danger there, was very low, got healed at the last moment, but Agility's still looking to be spoiler.
She is back. She's traveled through time and space to get health back. Agility's still alive. Says that he does not like that piece of concrete in particular. Throws the Pulse Bomb onto it, still stalling out. This is rough. YIKES does not have the bodies to continue to contest.
No, they don't. They weren't able to finish off Agilities, who stalled just enough for the rest of Immortals to come back out. And now it's YIKES on the back foot, on a whim and a prayer, looking for anything. XQC, the saddest Winston in the world. No help, surrounded by 4 enemies. He is going to fall as YIKES only has 3 people up here.
Visor up.
Hardly any are near the payload.
Visor up. This is a victory visor. You can just throw it right into the D.Va on purpose with that excellent tracking right there. And Ginger Pop has switched over just for stall out. All over but the crying as Immortals got better and better and stronger every map we went on. Scary team.
They've improved so much in the last month or so, and a lot of it does come from the roster change that they've done. Their organization takes improving at Overwatch very seriously. I mean, there's a lot of good things that Immortals does. Not only have they done some roster switch-ups here that have been very beneficial, they've implemented a new coaching staff, and to top it all off, I mean, they're an org that really prides things like player health, making sure people are eating and playing right, and honestly, it's worked out well for them, and I'm very curious to see just how far they go here in Contenders.
I would love to see them implement a new play of the game intro for Genji. Everyone uses that pumpkin slashing intro. On a more serious note, I mentioned that they're adding in that element of being scrappy and stalling out those fights, and you mentioned like it didn't work and there's the other side, but if you remember when they were trying to be aggressive in spawn camp, those didn't work early on either, but they kept at it and it got better and better and scarier.
And that's the thing is they have tried this before. They tried dive when it was first kind of coming into vogue, and it just didn't work out very well. This was when we wanted to see